Disclaimer: this video contains minor spoilers about the film being discussed. Viewer discretion is advised. Stop motion, widely considered to be one of the finest mediums of animation. Unfortunately, it's also considered by many to be a dying breed of animation, citing the laborious process it requires and the utmost patience it demands. Despite which, throughout the history of animation, stop motion has repeatedly proved itself to be something special and unique. Be it through Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas, Cobb's Bride, or Henry Selick's James and the Giant Peach, or Coraline, which also happens to be one of my favorite stop motion movies. And now, another film joins this iconic list. Hello everyone, I'm M, and these are my impressions about Guillermo Del Toro's Pinocchio. Pinocchio, Carlo Collodi's masterpiece, has seen several adaptations, most notably Disney's iconic animated feature film from 1940, and coming into the limelight in recent years through a barrage of movies. There's the Italian one by Matteo Garrone and Robert Zemeckis' Disney abomination remake, and this absolute frickin' garbage. There's also a game being made called Lies of P, and now we have Guillermo Del Toro's version, in which he decides to put on his own spin. So let's talk about it. One of the first things you notice in this movie right off the bat is that it starts with a pine cone. And one of the other things which you notice is its dark tone. And those of you who know me, you do realize that this is right up my alley, right? Like, this is my shit. I dwell in darkness, baby. We start this movie sometime after Geppetto's son is dead. And then this cricket character starts narrating what happened and takes you back to the First World War. Geppetto's making a crucifix for the local church, and during one of his visits there, a bomb drops down and kills his son Carlo, who I think is named after the author Carlo Collodi. So Geppetto goes into depression and becomes a drunk, and the crucifix remains incomplete. And during one of his drunken rages, he chops down the tree growing next to Carlo's grave, which also happens to be the cricket's home. The tree, not the grave. He then crafts Pinocchio out of its wood, and the same night the wood spirit makes him come to life. Now, one thing I should emphasize at this point is Pinocchio's design. You see this perfect little cute puppet? Bam! Get him out of here! This is the real deal right here. He's rough, he's got nails on his back, he's asymmetric, he's got a small little brand stuck up his head, he's missing an ear because drunk Geppetto left him incomplete. And they managed to make him look cute despite all this. In one particular shot, he's in a cupboard and a glove is over his nose, and I remember audibly exclaiming, "That's cute." Another special mention goes to the design of the wood spirit. Like, she's based off of biblical angels. She has eyes on her wings. Look at them! Look! This movie is unbelievable in the visual department. You can feel Geppetto's emotions by looking at his face. The sets are gorgeous, the scenes are just beautiful, and the attention to detail is mind-blowing. Like, you can see the dirt in Geppetto's nails. Rain droplets drip off of characters' faces. They even drip off of the cricket. And don't get me started on how the eyes on the spirit's wings blink in this sort of almost choreographic manner. Just look at them. Look! I really love the premise this movie is set in. Obviously, Carlo's flashback is set during World War I, but the majority of it is set in between the two world wars in Italy under Mussolini's regime. And oh boy, can you feel the fascism in this movie. You have this father-son duo, the protester and his son, who for some reason is named Candlewick, who consider themselves to be the ideal fascists. And you sort of have this comparison between two contrasting forms of upbringing, one of love and the other of obedience. And this holds true to the larger historical context as well, because dictatorship and all that. And also I love the philosophical conundrums this movie puts you in. On one hand, you have these people under the regime who are just puppets to it. And on the other, you have this puppet who is free. I would also like to point out one particular scene here. Earlier in the movie, Pinocchio goes around town and everyone's terrified, obviously. So Geppetto eventually decides to fix the crucifix, which I mentioned at the beginning. So he brings Pinocchio along. So Pinocchio looks at this crucifix, he looks at Christ, and he's like, I don't understand something. He's made of wood too. So how come people love him? So how come everyone loves him and they don't like me? See, this, I just love that comparison, that line, and at that instant, I almost fell in love with this movie. This movie is a musical too. The songs, although not as catchy at first, will slowly grow on you. And the background music is absolutely phenomenal. It's somber, melancholic, and sometimes also cheerful. In fact, I wrote this video while listening to the soundtrack of the movie. I want to give a special shout out to the main theme. It's just lovely, it's wholesome, and it's also emotional. Now, coming to my single criticism, yeah, we've got to talk about it. There's one character whose arc just ends. Like, he's having an amazing arc and it just ends. Now, don't get me wrong, I love ambiguity. I don't mind it. But when you feel like they missed a scene or they've cut off a scene from the movie, that is a problem. I won't say which character it is, of course, spoiler-free policy and all that. But if you have watched the movie, you would have observed it. Apart from that, I found this movie to be quite good and it has a stellar cast. I loved almost every aspect of this movie. It clocks in at around 2 hours, but it really doesn't feel like a drag. And it is really, really worth a watch. I would personally give this movie 4 out of 5 M-Gems. Great, we've got that now. Feel free to comment down below. Have you watched the movie? How did you feel about it? What did you like the most? And what other movies would you like me to cover on this channel? And also hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for such amazing content. And I'll see you guys next time. See ya.